like to talk about the 8 myths that a lot of English learners have about what it takes to truly become fluent in English. I'd like to give a special thanks to teacher David. I will post a link to his profile and his fantastic course on my page, who inspired me to write this article and to make this video to talk about it. Alright, so the first thing I'd like to discuss is, well, one of the very common questions that I get, and it always gets me, and then I realize it's normal, okay? You're a teacher, Maria, you should be used to it. How many words do I need to know to be fluent? How many words do I need to learn a day? Guys, have you ever heard the expression quality over quantity? I'm sure you have. So it's the same that applies here. You need to learn the right language. You need to learn the expressions, the phrases, not just separate words, okay? And you need to learn the appropriate language for the situation, for the context. So, for example, if you're going traveling, I don't know, in Europe, you don't really need to learn about planes or cars, right? So you must have the appropriate language. So quality over quantity is the best answer that I always give to that question. You cannot put mathematical calculation on fluency. Doesn't work, guys. Sorry if I disappointed some of you. But hard truth is better than sweet lies, don't you think? Also, I always encourage my students to look at the context where the newly learned word can be used, because the meaning can change, and also the way the words go together, the collocations, is very specific to an English language and can be very different from the learner's native language. I always highly recommend checking out the dictionaries, online dictionaries. Some of my favorites are the Cambridge Dictionary and the Collins dictionaries. And they give you context, they give you examples when and how to use specific words or expressions and what the meaning actually is. Another very common question from English learners is, what is the best way? What is the magic way? What is the key to learning English? What is one way I must implement to make sure I can speak English fluently? And the answer I give always disappoints my students. Firstly, there is no one way, okay? You must find what works for you. And I always say variety is best, okay? So not just reading books, not just watching films. You need to implement a variety into your life, and you also must focus on both passive and active use of the language. Passive meaning reading, listening, and active is speaking, writing, using the language. Okay, so always look at variety of things. There are songs, there are films, there are books. You can find a speaking partner. You could travel. There are so many different ways, but the important thing is to use a variety of such ways, and of course it's also selecting the right materials, the right videos, the appropriate ones, okay, that will help you to gain fluency. I understand that getting a professional teacher isn't always an option available to everyone, but you must find a way, another way of improving your language, practicing online, finding a speaking partner, talking to yourself, to your plants. You know, there are lots of different ways, and actually teacher David discusses these options on his course. So again, I highly recommend his course. It's really good value for money. It's not expensive at all, and yes, you will be exposed to a variety of ways of how you can actually practice your language. One of the fantastic expressions that David used, and absolutely love it, is an information junkie. So I think the problem is, these days you have so many teachers on Instagram, on YouTube, you've got tons of information, different websites, and it's like, it's tempting to just keep, you know, doing this with information, and you think the more you do this with information, the more will stick. Guys, information is not knowledge. And I've seen it from many people who just go to different accounts on Instagram and try and learn a little bit here and a little bit there and a little bit there. This is not holistic learning. It's not focused. Yes, you will learn a bit here and a bit there, but you will not truly progress to fluency. You'll be jumping. Rather than going in one direction, you'll be jumping all over the place. And I really do not recommend it as a proper way. If you're really serious about improving your English, this is not the way to go forward. To turn information into knowledge, okay, so that it doesn't just go into one ear and goes out of the other, right? We don't want that. We want it to stick. We want to be able to use this knowledge, okay? You must process this information. You must practice this information. So many times I say in every of my Instagram videos, I say, guys, please practice in the comments. Guess what? How many people do you think actually practice in the comments? 1, maybe 2, 3, 4 if I'm lucky. Out of lots of followers, lots of people see this post, but so few actually practice. And this shows to me these people are not serious about improving their English and becoming fluent. You must practice. You must process this information, turn it into knowledge and apply it, activate it, use it actively, okay? I know it takes effort, I know it takes time, but you need to be prepared to sacrifice something. In order to get something, you must give something, guys. As with anything else in life, you don't just expect things to fall from the sky. That would be nice, but it doesn't happen, okay? So put in effort to actually get something out. There is no easy solution, all right? One thing that at first when I heard it, it kind of made me feel like, oh my God, you're so arrogant. Or perhaps, I don't know, why are you saying this? But now I'm just laughing about it. I think it's funny when, for example, my followers on Instagram come to me on live and they go, I know some complex words that even natives don't know. My language is much better than natives. And I'm looking at them thinking, so why are you here doing a live with me to practice your English if your English is so amazing? Guys, knowing complex long words and phrases that even natives don't use does not make you fluent. Yes, your English is advanced. Yes, fantastic, you learned complex words. Well done. But this is not fluency. Fluency is using the common words and expressions that natives use in certain situations. There's a reason why they don't know or maybe don't apply the words that you have studied so hard to memorize, okay? So take it as a lesson. Don't show off that you know complex words when you still don't know the basic grammar. When you make basic grammar mistakes, don't show off about advanced words. This is not the focus if you want to be fluent and a good communicator. And one visual comparison I've thought of to compare this situation, it's like wearing a beautiful bright lipstick without brushing your teeth and maybe some bits of food stuck in between. You attract attention. You try and attract attention with a beautiful lipstick, beautiful words, and you just attract attention to the fact that your teeth are dirty and you haven't cleaned them up. Bad grammar, okay? So that's the comparison I would make. Okay, again, perfect grammar is not essential for communication, but I really don't like phrasal verbs. Is there a way I can speak English without learning phrasal verbs? Phrasal verbs are so confusing. Oh my God, I don't want to learn them. Guys, if you want to communicate in English, there is no way of getting around it. You must learn and practice phrasal verbs. Get comfortable with them. Get friendly with them. Start learning them now, today, little by little. Do not put it aside. Natives use phrasal verbs all the time in every single situation you can think of. You cannot get away with them. You cannot ignore them. Just because you don't like them doesn't mean they're going to disappear from an English language. So start liking them. Start using them. That's the easy answer for you. A lot of English learners, and myself including when I try to speak French or Spanish, we translate phrases directly from our native language into the target language, the one that we're learning and practicing. And it's really tempting to do that because it's like a comfort blanket or a pillow we're holding on to because it's something that we know and understand. But it's not the way to gain fluency. If you want to sound fluent and to communicate like a native, you want to learn the phrases and expressions from the native language, to learn to think in this language, all right? And it really helps watching things, listening to things, and paying attention not to just separate words. And never try and learn just separate words. Always look at the context. Always look at how the 2 words or 3 words work together in this particular language, because many times it's very different from your original language. Okay? It's very rare that it happens, but I get some students that come to me and say, I don't want to use course books. I don't want to read. I don't want to study. I just want to talk. And guys, yes, maybe you've been studying a lot and you've accumulated tons of theory in your head and you just want to put it into practice to start speaking. That's fine. But it's not enough to progress. If you really want to progress in your spoken language, in your language knowledge in general, you must not only work on your output but also on your input. Again, another fantastic point David makes in his course. Because to produce something, right, if you want to produce a product, if you think about physically, you must input some materials into the, whatever the machine is, right, the machine being your head in this case. So you cannot expect output if you're not putting anything in. And to put something in, you must study new vocabulary, new phrases, new grammar structures, phrasal verbs, etc. You cannot produce output without input. It may sound obvious, but I still have people who believe that just by speaking and doing nothing else, they will actually improve their language. Sorry guys, but this is a myth and it will not happen. I really want to sound like an American. I think the British accent is fantastic. Guys, yes, accents can be fantastic, beautiful, exciting to listen to, but you should never obsess over your accent to the point where you start ignoring the other important aspects of communication. You don't need to sound perfect, and there is no such thing as perfection to begin with, in order to communicate. You need to focus on your pronunciation, pronounce the words clearly, intonation, using the right vocabulary, appropriate grammar structure so that your message is clear, what you're trying to say and what you're talking about. But accents will not help you to communicate more fluently. Forget about accents. Accents are beautiful. They tell us where you come from, who you are, about your origins. Do not expend that energy on trying to sound like a native, because even all the natives have different accents across the UK, across America. So, Australia, South Africa, it's mind-blowing how many accents of English there actually are. So it's okay to have your own accent, okay? Forget about this obsession if it's something on your mind. It's not important. And the good thing is I've seen more and more people becoming aware of that. By people, I mean English learners. But still there are a few who still, I probably should sound more native if I want to sound fluent. No, fluency has nothing to do with your accent, trust me. All right, so give up on that. And on the final words of advice, I'd like to say that practice makes perfect. Practice, it makes good, Practice is important. So don't just bury your head in textbooks and never give yourself an opportunity to actually speak the language, use the language. Look out for these opportunities, because like in the work world, you might have 10 degrees, but they're not worth nearly as much as, say, 5 years of experience. Yes, you need education, you need knowledge, but you also need hands-on practical experience in work. And it's the same with English language, because it's by speaking and communicating that you gain confidence, you learn, you gain so many skills through communication. So don't wait too long, don't delay it, okay? And the other thing that I hear a lot from people is that I don't have anyone to talk to, I have no opportunities. Okay, go to David's course, guys. He will give you quite a number, and a lot of teachers on Instagram and on other websites, they will tell you lots of ways you can improve your English. If you actually cannot afford a teacher, there are still ways to practice your English. For example, finding an English speaking partner. And guys, it's just, if you're looking for a way to get out of it, if you're looking for excuses, then it tells me you're not really motivated to learn English. If you really want to do it, you will find a way. Where there's a will, there's a way. Okay, very good English expression, by the way.